Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining. I hope you had a lovely New Year's. So my name is Sarah Barney. I am the Employee Support Manager, and joining me for today's webinar is Luke Trower, who is Employee Support Supervisor. So he'll be taking us through today's webinar. So once Luke does go through the webinar slides, there will be an opportunity for you to all ask any questions that you might have. I do ask that you wait until Luke has completed the webinar before you ask any questions. And if you do ask any questions, please can you use the Q&A function on the Zoom webinar, please, rather than use the chat. And lastly, we do have a survey that we will ask you to complete once the webinar has ended. So if you could do that, that would be absolutely amazing. Your feedback is really important to us, and it just makes sure that you can continue to attend these webinars, and it's not just the same information, it's stuff that you will find useful, and hopefully other people will too. So I'll hand over to Luke now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And obviously, good afternoon, everyone. As like Sarah mentioned, I do hope everyone has had a great Christmas and New Year's. So for today's webinar, this is an overview in relation to your payroll. So in today's webinar, the actual overview is going to be in relation to logging in, your home page for your Giant portal, how to set up like notifications, information about your pay slips, information about your payment tracker, information about your contract tracker. And then in relation to some further information, we're going to go through what is a P45, what is a new starter declaration, a little bit more information about understanding your pay slips. So this is more going in depth into your pay slips. We're going to be talking about things that affect your net pay, tax codes. This is also in relation to like accumulative tax codes and non-accumulative tax codes, tax thresholds and rates, and also at the end, we're just going to have a bit of a summary as well. So in relation to logging in, so I am aware that there's going to be a fair few of you in here that do come from different agencies or different clients. So based upon that, different people might have different logins to the Giant portal. So on the top hand right side, one of those portals may be correlated to yourself. So in relation to logging in, when you first do get set up in part of the onboarding, you will get an email providing obviously the correct portal for yourself to use for your assignment, and also you will create yourself a username and password. So this username and password isn't set by Giant, it's something that you create. And then once you have created it and you select submit, that will take you into your Giant portal. So once you have entered your Giant portal, the top image is what you're going to see. So it'll give you some information in relation to a menu option, which again, you can access some further details from there. It'll give you some information in relation to your worker reference, and this can also be displayed as well. So again, if you do want to provide that when, say, you ever do get in contact with us, then we can find you in our systems quite easily. And again, it will provide you obviously with your name and also a way on how to kind of like log in and log out of the Giant portal whenever you are done or finished with the portal at that current time. So once you have obviously logged into the Giant portal and say you've gone to your menu option, which was shown on the previous slide on the top hand left hand side, on this image that you can see on the left hand side, the part in blue is what you're going to be seeing as like some drop down features. The main one that most people would tend to use if they're not looking to provide feedback to us will be the one that has your data. So when you click on that particular section, on the right hand side of the image is what you're going to be then shown. So it gives you obviously a lot more data in relation to this. So things like your pay slips, your alerts, gives you information about your documents, your assignments, etc. as well. So on here, obviously, as mentioned, it'll give you a a wide range of obviously all your data that you are looking to use. And again, that'll be everything that you are required for your assignment. So if we talk about your notifications for the first part, so as like previously mentioned, if you go into your data, then select the subsection where it says notifications or alerts, the top image is what you're going to be kind of provided with. So with here, you can set up alerts based upon the 4 different criterias. And with inside that, you can set it up as different delivery methods. So you can either have it as like shown here as an email, or the other option that we have is via an SMS or a text as well. So you can see in relation to set up alerts for your payday, your pay amounts, and also some information in relation to your timesheets as well. So if we take payslips into consideration, if you are looking to obviously view your payslips, again, when you go into your data, you will see another tab, which is just obviously the image here that shows you your payslips. So with your payslips, they are available in your Giant portal 24/7. And when you go into your payslips, which we will show you slightly later on, these are always displayed in a chronological order. Using the tax date period as well. So it would always show you the most recent at the highest point, and also then as you like previous weeks, it will just kind of like flow down in relation to that as well. So as kind of mentioned, this is just some further information. So once you actually go into it, as mentioned here, the actual below image is the chronological state of the payslip. So as mentioned, you would always have your most recent one at the very top, and obviously anything that you've had as well throughout previous weeks of pay would always be displayed in a chronological order going downwards. So as mentioned, and to reiterate, these are always available on your portal 24/7. And also in this area, if you do have a P60 on record, this is why it would also show as well. The P60 will always show at the very top if you have one available, and then the payslips will be underneath on a separate kind of like section as well. So in relation to payment trackers, so if you ever do wish to double check anything in relation to what we have received from your agency or client, you can do so via your trackers tab on your Giant portal. So via these trackers, we will show this a little bit more in detail in a second, but it provides some information of when we've actually received the timesheets, when they've been processed through our system, and also when they've also been processed through actual payroll as well. On this as well, it provides like any further information in relation to like any adjustments that have been made by the client or the agency, etc. So again, you can view this for your benefits as well if you wish to do so. So the bottom picture is just kind of what I've mentioned. So this is kind of what you would see if we have received any data from your agency or client. So again, as mentioned, it's a kind of a timetable grid. So it gives you like all different options in relation to like subheadings. But as again, this is kind of like displayed in regards to kind of what we've received, also when it's been like processed as well through payroll, etc. So some information in relation to your payslip. So we're going to be going through what is a P45, what is a new starter declaration, or known as a P46, understanding your payslip, and also some things that affect your net pay amount as well. So just to start off, what is a P45? So a P45 is basically what we would, or what you would receive, I should say, from a previous employer. So from Giant's point of view, when you are, say, like going through the onboarding stage, we would also look for that P45 or a P46 if required. So from our point of view, we will be able to accept a P45 that is dated within 8 weeks. So in relation to once we've received it, or you've received your P45 from your old employer, I would highly recommend to send that across to us as soon as possible. Also, from having a P45 sent to us, obviously from Giant's perspective, is really important as it allows Giant to deduct the correct amount of tax from your payroll. And in relation to sending us a P45, you can send that via your Giant portal, so via your feedback section. And again, this will be able to then be sent across to the relevant department for us to action this on your behalf as well. So a new starter declaration, or a P46, however you want to go about this. So if you don't have a P45 from your old employer, it might just be that they haven't sent you one, or you might just be waiting for like further payments to go through before they can provide you one. Then the P46 or the new starter declaration is also a useful alternative. So again, this can be found on your Giant portal, which is under one of the tabs that's displayed as P45 or new starter declaration. So what you will see on the left-hand side is the new starter declaration, or the P46. There'll be a range of different statements on here. So each one of these will correlate to a different tax code that we use. So for example, if you select statement A, this will be shown as a 1257L accumulative tax code. Statement B is 1257L non-accumulative. And then statement C will be known as a basic rate tax code. If there is no statement, we usually put it as a D0 tax code. However, we usually would use like a week one or a month one code in relation to that as well. So payslips. So a payslip is an itemized product, obviously from our perspective from Giant being a payroll provider for yourself. So again, just to reiterate, like I mentioned earlier, these are available on your Giant portal 24/7, and you can have access to them at any point you wish to as well. So your payslip explained. So when you do go into your Giant portal, and then say you go to your data and then go to your payslip tab. So when you select any of the dates that's in occurrence to your actual payslip that's on your portal, it's a hyperlink that will take you to a breakdown. And this is exactly what you're going to be seeing. So on here, it would also kind of outline everything that's also important for yourself. So in relation to things like your unique reference number with us, your tax code, the company, obviously, that you contract with, your own personal details. It provides you like a breakdown of your gross pay, your deductions, so things like your tax and NI plus any other applicable deductions. And also it provides you things like your net pay. Alongside this, there is a payroll analysis section where it provides you of information based upon this period of when your payroll has gone through, but also provides a year-to-date section as well. So things like your holiday pay accrual, where you can then view your pay slips to know exactly how much you've got in your pot that you've accrued throughout this new year, for example. So some factors that could affect your pay. So in relation to this is variances in net pay received, which can be caused by some of the following. So things like your tax code and tax code changes, or it could be in relation to monthly payroll in a weekly pay cycle. So if we take a tax code into consideration, so with tax, tax is calculated each time you are paid. And it would not be calculated on when the work was completed. For tax codes, we can only accept tax codes from HMRC. So we cannot change or amend this out of our own personal leisure. We would always need instruction from HMRC in order for us to make those amendments. So the amendments would come from a notification called a P6. And in relation to that, this would also come from HMRC. So say, for example, if you believe your tax code might be incorrect, from Giant's point of view, we can't get in contact with HMRC on behalf of you. This is due to like GDPR reasons. So if you do believe that your tax code might be incorrect at this current stage, then we would advise you to speak to HMRC on your own behalf. And then if they have like said, yes, your tax code might be incorrect, then they would then provide us that P6 notification where then we can make those relevant adjustments to the correct tax code for yourself. So just some information in relation to the standard tax code for this year. So for the tax year being 2021 to 2022, this is via a 1257L tax code. And then the standard tax-free allowance on a per month is for £1,047.50p. And then the per week is £241.73p as well. So cumulative tax versus like a week one or a month one. So an accumulative tax code takes into consideration previous earnings. And if a tax code is missed, it can be carried over to the next period. Alternatively, if you say are on a non-accumulative tax code, being like a week one or a month one, for example, this does not take into consideration previous earnings when calculating the tax that is due as well. So just some information in relation to like tax thresholds, some rates, and just some more information as well. So for this particular tax a year, so if you earn up to £50,270, this is taxed at 20%. If you earn anything over that threshold of the 50,271, so being say £50,271, to £150,000, this is taxed at 40%. And then if there is any additional tax rates over the £150,000, this is taxed at 45%. So if you're placed on like a BR tax code, these are taxed at a flat 20%. And then for anyone say is on like a D0 tax code, these are taxed at a flat rate of 40%. So we do get quite a fair few questions in relation to kind of what the letters mean at the end of a tax code. A lot of this information can be found on the HMRC website as well, if you are ever wondering what your tax code does mean. But just for some information for yourself, for example, some tax code suffixes, say for example, if you're on an L, this means there's like a standard tax code, or if you see T being a part of your tax code, this is a temporary tax code. And then in relation to some tax code prefixes, so if you see D a part of your tax code, this means that you are on a higher rate, so there is 40% tax that is being applied. And then if you see K, it is in relation to a negative pay adjustment. So monthly pay in a weekly cycle. So for most of you, you are set up via a weekly pay cycle. I know some of you might be set up as a monthly. In relation to it, again, it's all dependent based upon kind of how you're set up based upon your like agency and your client as well. So there are some circumstances where we may get more than 1 week's pay to process. So this can increase your tax deductions because you're being taxed for multiple week ending periods when you're set up as like a 1 week pay cycle. So technically, the information shows on HMRC's record that there is a monthly earnings in just a 1 week pay. So just a bit of a summary in relation to today's webinar. So we've gone through kind of logging into your Giant portal, kind of navigating the home portal as well to where you can kind of find some more information. So things like going into going into something called like your data and finding obviously further information from there based upon your assignment. We've spoken about like setting up SMS and email alerts, say before payroll, and also things for like timesheets, etc. We discussed your payslips and also how to access these and also viewing these in full. We've also discussed tracking your payments via the contract tracker. We've discussed the P45 or the new starter declaration provided during like onboarding. In relation to that, again, these are like critical for us to establish the correct tax code to put you on. We've mentioned also that payslips are always easily accessible for your or through your Giant portal, I should say. And again, these are always there 24/7 if you ever to wish or say whenever you want to go into your Giant portal, I should say. We've also discussed the payslip displays that the displays the PAYE tax and national insurance deduction alongside like any other applicable deductions that might be deducted. We've discussed that factors that may affect your tax code. And last of all, we've discussed in relation to like cumulative tax codes and non-cumulative tax codes taken into account like year-to-date earnings, whilst like the non-cumulative tax code does not, for example. So as Sarah did mention, there is like a period for any questions that you may have. So obviously, this is a point where you can obviously provide any information. Again, just to kind of reiterate, if you want to put it into the Q&A section on the Zoom, that way myself and Sarah can also look at those questions that you have and we'll be happy to answer. But overall, thank you so much for listening to the webinar today, and hopefully it's provided some useful information in relation to this. So thank you.
So Kira, you've mentioned, do you need to send a P45 to Giant? So if you haven't already and your P45 has been issued within the last 8 weeks, then yes, please do. This will ensure that we do have you on the correct tax code. If you just send it to us via the feedback function on your portal, we'll be able to get that actioned for you. If you don't have a P45, that's no issue. As Luke mentioned, if you complete a new starter declaration, that is what we use for those who do not have a P45 that available, or even if their P45 is older than 8 working weeks, then we'll use the new starter declaration anyway.
Hi, Stuart. So you've mentioned, so once I finish my timesheets, how long does the pay take to come and go through my account? So that's all dependent based upon like your payment terms and how you've been set up. What I can do is that I'm more than happy to look over this for yourself, Stuart, and then we can get in contact with yourself to provide a timeline of once we've obviously like say received your timesheets, we can then kind of view when you are due to be paid. But without kind of like further looking into kind of like how you are set up in relation to your timesheet periods and your payroll or your pay period, I should say. It's kind of hard to kind of like actually give you like an accurate answer for that, but I'm happy to look into that and provide you an answer though.
In terms of holiday pay, it is completely dependent on the client. So unfortunately, if you are on rolled up holiday, that's not something that you can opt out of. That's a contractual agreement we have with the client. If you are on accrued holiday, then you will have to request the holiday on your Giant portal. There is a request holiday function. You just enter the hours and the dates on there, and that will be paid out with the retrospective date on when you did take the annual leave. In terms of pay slips, you don't fill out your own pay slips. You complete your timesheets, dependent on the client that you are with. The timesheet software in the system can change, so it can either be done. So if you are with Motability, you'll do your timesheets on the Giant portal. However, most of our clients will have their own timesheet software. So once you complete your timesheets, we will then receive payment information, and based off of that, we will create your pay slips and they'll be made available to you on your portal.
Hi, Sean. So you mentioned I have the same issue. Could you let me know? Could you just further elaborate on that just to provide us more information on what exactly you mean with the same issue? That way we can obviously further support you based upon kind of your query.
And Michael, yes, you can get a copy of this webinar. So anyone that has registered will get a recording of this webinar sent to them. Nigel, yep, that's fine. We can arrange for someone to call you regarding your pension query. We'll get that done for you today. The rate of pay, Faith, is your hourly or your daily rate that you'll see on your assignment. So that could be, £15 an hour, £150 a day, completely depending on what your rate is. But it's that rate that is subject to your tax and your national insurance.
I should. That's absolutely fine. In relation to you understanding like different codes, what we can do, we can provide a call for yourself if that's like the best kind of like method of communication. And like any questions you've got, we'll be happy to kind of go through to further support you, just based upon like any concerns or queries that you have.
Kira, yes, we can arrange a call regarding your pensions as well. So, in terms of holiday, it is very important that you do take your annual leave within the year. The employee handbook states that you must take any leave between the holiday year, so that's the 1st of January to the 31st of December. We are unable to carry over any holiday into the following year. So, it is very important that you do take this within the year that you take the annual leave. James, we will also get a call arranged regarding your pension as well. So someone will contact you today. So holiday pay. So someone has put a question about the holiday pay and the leave. So holiday pay, just like any other standard employment contract, you will only get paid the holiday pay for the annual leave that you take. So you have to take the annual leave in order to be paid for the time off. So once you do take the annual leave, again, please make sure that you take it for your own well-being and mental health. Um, Once you take your annual leave, you can then request for those dates to be paid out to you, sorry, on your Giant portal. Sean, what we'll do is we'll get someone to give you a call and have a look into your timesheets specifically so we can see what's happened here. Um, Mohsen, if you could provide your surname or your employee ID, don't worry, it's completely confidential. Only myself and Luke can see this. If you could just pop it in the Q&A function, please, and then we'll get someone to give you a call.
Michael, you've had a question in relation to your holidays and about kind of when your, say, like assignment comes to end, etc. Kind of what happens with the accrued annual leave. So what we can do, we can get someone to get in contact with yourself in relation to this to provide some further information. So hopefully that will provide some extra support so you kind of know kind of what exactly does happen. So you can also prepare yourself as well, if that's okay.
Just whilst we're waiting for any further questions to come through, just another quick reminder, if you could please do spare a couple of minutes just to complete the survey after this webinar, it will be greatly appreciated. And Mohsen, thank you for sending your details over, and we'll arrange for someone to give you a call today.
Kira, you've just mentioned something about completing timesheets and kind of what the setup is. I know that you previously did ask for a call in relation to kind of a pension query. So what we can do, we can also add that information on in relation to obviously that callback request. So again, we can kind of go through any questions that you've got to further support you.
Faith, apologies, I've missed your question. So the actual webinar will be sent out to you. So you'll have the whole recording of the webinar available along with the slides. So you'll be able to review that at any time. And can you just confirm what the query is around the rate? Sorry, I'm not quite understanding the question. Sorry about that. Regarding employers' costs, Faith, that is something you won't see. It's not a part of your contractual agreement with Giant. So what you see on your assignment is what your rate of pay is. And so therefore, any deductions from that rate of pay, you will then see on your payslip. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any further queries coming through. If you haven't had a chance to ask your question, it's no problem whatsoever. Again, if you just drop us a message on your portal, so you can either go through the feedback function on your portal, or if you're looking for a very quick response, you can drop us a message on live chat. It's brilliant. Our average response times are around 6 seconds. Yeah, if you did want a quick question answered, live chat I would recommend would probably be the best option. But Yeah, thank you so much for listening, everyone. We do hope that you found this useful today. And again, if you do have any comments, anything you'd like us to change about the webinar, anything you'd like us to include, please do let us know and we will endeavour to get that arranged for the next one that we do. Thank you so much for listening and have a lovely day.